classes with CentumApp. So today we are going to continue with our topic reproduction in organisms. So where we are going to see what is sexual reproduction. Okay. So the objectives of today's class would be to define the process of sexual reproduction, to differentiate the types of sexually flowering plants, to understand the time of breeding for different organisms. Okay, so sexual reproduction, there are different names for sexual reproduction. So if your question has been asked in any of these names, you need to know what is sexual reproduction also called. Sexual reproduction is also called amphimixis, syngenesis, or amphigeny. Okay, so where this is the formation of the male and the female gametes to further produce the offspring. Okay, so these gametes fuse to form the zygote, so which develops into a new organism. This is a very complex and a very slow process, unlike the asexual reproduction. So it involves three phases: juvenile phase, reproduction phase, and the senescent phase. So juvenile phase, I told you, where its ability starts to mature. Okay, so reproductive phase is where the maturity phase, where it starts to get matured enough for reproduction process to happen. Then you have the senescent phase, which is aging and senescence again. Senescence cannot be reversed, and it finally leads to the death of an organism. So these are the male and the female gametes. So male and the female gametes, here the division that takes place for sexual method of reproduction is known as meiosis. Okay, so where you have the male and the female gamete which undergoes meiosis cell division. Okay, so here you have the sperms which become N, which is haploid. It has a haploid number of chromosomes. Again, ovum again, N will have haploid, half the number of chromosomes. So these two come, both the gametes come, fertilization takes place and releases a zygote. So now the zygote formed is 2N, where it is diploid. Okay, so then you have the embryo, development takes place, embryo is formed, then embryo again, certain division, cell division has to happen, and then you have the birth of the young one. Okay, so this is the overall gist of the sexual reproduction in any organism. So sexually, there are two types of flowering plants. Okay, so we tend to come to this idea that sexual reproduction takes place only in humans and animals, and asexual reproduction takes place in plants and in microorganisms. Yes, asexual reproduction takes place in plants, but when you talk about flowers, okay, when we talk about flowering plants, sexual reproduction happens in flowering plants because the flowers can tend to be both male, female, or bisexual. Okay, so let's see this in detail. So there are two types of flowering plants. One is monocarpic and the other one is polycarpic. Monocarpic and polycarpic. Okay, so monocarpica flowers only once. Okay, so they're all annual plants. In the entire year, it flowers only once. Okay, so that is wheat, rice, and biennial plants, carrot and radish. So monocarpic, actually it can flower once or only twice in a year. That is known as monocarpic, also called biennial. Okay. Next you have polycarpic flowers. Flowers at repeated intervals. Okay, which goes on. There are seasons. Okay, the seasons come and go. So the flowers keep coming and producing different fruits and vegetables. Example of seasonal plants are apple, mango, grape, China rose, etc. So few plants show unusual flowering behavior, where certain species of bamboo, especially Bambusia tulda, flower once after 50 to 150 years. Okay, certain plants are very exceptional, not just flowering once or twice in a year or at regular interval, but some plants, just like the Bambusia tulda, they flower once in 50 to 150 years. Okay, then you have Strobilus Kuntiana, which is Neela Kurunji flower. This flowers only once in 12 years. Okay, so these are important NEET questions. Please note it down. So time of breeding. So when you talk about time of breeding and sexual flowers, there are two types. One is seasonal breeders and continuous breeders. So what are the seasonal breeders? They reproduce at a particular period of the year. So if it is flowering in May, it will flower only in May. Or if it is a winter plant, it will flower only when it is winter time in the particular country, okay, particular region. Continuous breeder, they continue to breed throughout their sexual maturity. Alright, so however active they are, they continue to reproduce. Okay, so here seasonal breeders, frogs, lizards, moths, birds, deers, etc. Continuous breeders, queen, honeybee, rabbit, mice, cattle, all of this comes under continuous breeders. So in females of placental mammals, so here we are talking about placental mammals, cyclic changes in ovaries and reproductive ducts along with your hormones take place. So when you talk about breeding time here, if you notice, humans do not come under this. Okay, so placental mammals are completely different where it comes under placental mammals where you have different types of cyclic changes that are happening. Alright, so one in primates, when you talk about monkeys, apes and humans, cyclic changes during reproductive phase constitute the menstrual cycle. Okay, so in monkeys, apes and humans, there's something known as menstrual cycle which we will learn in detail later. So here, just to give a gist of what is menstrual cycle, the inner lining of the womb is completely teared down, okay, teared down, and it just removes out of the body, which comes out as menses, okay. So then menses or menstruation. And in non-primate animals such as cows, sheep, rats, dogs, etc., they also have cyclic changes of reproduction for fertilization to take place, leading to the formation of an offspring. But here what happens is that there is a very strong sexual urge during the estrous cycle, where the lining of the womb here is also slowed down, but it does not come out of the body as menses, whereas it is reabsorbed by the body. Okay, so again I repeat, in primate, menstruation cycle takes place, whereas in non-primates there is menstrual cyclic changes happening, but it does not come out as menstruation. So a number of estrous cycles in a year. So talking about estrous cycles, so there are polyestrous cycles where cows, swine, humans, all these come under polyestrous cycles where the cycles repeatedly occur over a period of time. Okay. Then seasonal polyestrous is that the cycles occur anywhere in the year. Okay, any time during the year, it is seasonal. Monoestrous and diestrous, also called as anestrous. Okay, so where you have one or two cycles per year, so that is for wolves, dogs, and cats. Now the difference between asexual and sexual reproduction. So we know asexual reproduction involves only one parent, very important, whereas sexual reproduction involves two parents. Here there are no gametes involved, but here you have the male and the female gametes. Okay, so no fertilization, no zygote formation. Fertilization and formation of zygote is very important for the offspring to develop. Here meiosis occur at any time during reproduction. Here meiosis occurs only at the time of gamete formation. Okay. So these are some of the NEET questions again. So we will see what is it. Sexual reproduction is considered more beneficial than asexual reproduction because it is not affected by adverse environmental conditions. Fertilization is a chance factor. It rapidly multiplies the population, or does it assist in evolution by producing variation? So what is the question again? Sexual reproduction is considered more beneficial than asexual reproduction because it assists in evolution by producing variations. Okay? So when two different human beings or two different species of organisms, animals come together, so there is variation in the offspring. Okay, so when two individuals come, so the offspring, it has a mixture of two different individuals. Okay, so here there is development, evolution, and variation. Next, estrus cycles is reported in estruses which occurs frequently, maybe once or twice in a year. So it is cows and sheep. Select a plant which flowers once in a lifetime. Bamboo, lychee, mango, all of these, it is bamboo. Okay, Bambusia culta, I told you, it is bamboo which flowers once in a lifetime. Strobilus kuntiana flowers once in 12 years. So in today's class, we've seen the second part of reproduction and the difference between sexual and asexual reproduction. Do follow us and come back for more interesting biology contents. Thank you.
CentumApp. You dare to dream, we care to accomplish.